Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mink, and of course this is Mink's Kinks. And y'all see we're sitting in front of the TV today, so that means we're going to do like a chit chat type of video, because baby, as y'all read by the title, I have some renter tips that I really want to give to you guys. I have been in my current place for a year and a half, and in the past 6 months I've had absolutely terrible experience with the place that I'm in. So I wanted to come and sort of share some of the things that I learned as a first-time renter. This is my first place living alone, so I really wanted to come and just, share some of the things that I have learned in this process. And now that I'm looking for new places to get the heck up out of here, I'm just kind of share some of the gems that I've discovered just while I've been living alone. I'm 24. Like I said, I live alone. I am in Pittsburgh. So just some of the experiences I've had while renting. So first things first, if you are new around here, hey, my name is Mink. I make natural hair, lifestyle, beauty, book, all types of content. So if you're interested in any of those type of things, definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Join our Kinky Crew family. We would love to have you. And definitely go ahead and leave a comment down below so that I can personally welcome you to the Kinky Crew fam. So now that y'all had the drop on a little bit of my backstory, I just want to go ahead and jump right into the tips and tricks. I don't want to keep y'all here too long. I just want to drop these gems, and if y'all have any questions, of course leave them in the comment section below, and I will try my best to help you guys. But I literally have been keeping a list of notes on my app, on my phone, so that when the time came, I could share these tips with you. So tip number one, first and foremost, this is one that you've heard from literally any and everybody. This, you need to save. You need to go ahead and save as much as possible. I know how frustrating it could be when you are ready to move and you want to go like now. And if that's not possible, I suggest putting a lot of money to the side. Of course, still have your money to live and everything, but saving is super important. When you think about it, you will have to do, as a first time renter, for me at least, I had to do first month's rent, I had to do last month's rent, and then I still had to do a security deposit. So that was basically 3 months of rent that I had to put up in advance. And if I didn't have the savings that I had, then I certainly wouldn't have been able to do it. I'm not sure if that's how they do it across the board, but in the building that I'm currently in, I did have to do that. And I also did have to have a co-signer. I'm not sure if that's everywhere either. I think that varies a little bit more depending on where exactly you're going to be staying. But I let them know that this was my first place, and then it wasn't necessarily a problem, but they did have me do last month's rent as well, just because I didn't have any renter experience, which I did understand. And then my dad co-signed. So if you do have somebody to co-sign, I would just make sure you talk to them maybe a little bit in advance. Like I said, it may not be necessary. You may be able to just sign your lease and go on about your day, but just in case, also maybe have somebody on the side if possible that wouldn't mind vouching for you. Tip number two, this is probably my favorite tip. I think that this is most beneficial in my personal opinion. So my rule is to always purchase before you actually get your place. So for me, that was a way of me manifesting as well, that I would be in a place. You don't have to buy a ton of things, but little by little I was just buying stuff for my apartment. So I would have toilet paper, I was in IKEA buying dishes, and I'm on Amazon buying bathroom stuff. You know what I mean? Just make sure that you're buying things little by little, because if you do just wait to buy everything when you move, then that's gonna be costly. Okay, very much costly. Now if you're moving like out of state or super far, of course I don't really think that this rule would be best for you, because then you also have to transport all of that stuff that you got to your new location. But if you're moving somewhere that's relatively close to where you are currently living, I highly recommend that you start just purchasing things, so that it's not just that huge expense as you go. So me personally, when I first moved in, I went grocery shopping and I bought a couch because I didn't want to you know what I mean? I didn't want to have to move a couch as well. I eventually got a desk because I work from home, and then I also got this TV stand that's behind me eventually later. You don't have to move with everything. My mom always tells me, she's like, a year from the time that you move into your place is going to look like a whole different space. So you don't have to have everything when you move. You could just have, you know, somewhere to sleep, and then, you know, you build from there. But I highly recommend, if you have the funding to do so, I would recommend buying things little by little. You're always going to need toilet paper. You're always going to need paper towels. There's just certain things that you're always going to need. So I highly recommend you go ahead and purchase those necessity type things so that when it comes time for you to move in, you have those things. Okay, so going along with that sort of manifesting your future place, I left sticky notes of the things that I wanted all over my room when I was still living with my mom. So I would have that I wanted to move out by, you know, this date, or wrote it in journal. I just found it kind of important to put those goals somewhere where I could see them all the time, so they just wouldn't get pushed to the back of my mind. So I had a mirror in my room, and I stuck sticky notes on my mirror so that I could have that daily reminder of the goal that I'm trying to achieve. And I feel like it helped, because I did get it, but move into this place before the expiration date on those goals. Okay, so another one that is a little controversial. I always grew up thinking that credit cards were bad, but actually credit cards are your friends. So credit cards are a way for you to build your credit, essentially, and your credit identity is a big part of who you are renter wise. So I got my first credit card when I was a freshman in college, I think, and I have slowly but surely been building my credit that way. I don't use my credit card often, but when I need it, it's always there, and I think that that is really important. So if you don't have a credit card, I highly recommend that you get a credit card, especially if this is prior to you moving. I highly recommend you getting a credit card and building it, even a little bit of credit just before you move, or even if you're already in your first place, get a credit card. Don't go crazy now. Don't go crazy and, you know, not be able to pay it back, but absolutely get a credit card. Make your payments monthly. I suggest making payments slightly higher than what they're suggesting. So if your payment is $50 a month, I try to pay a little bit more, so $60 or $70 a month, so you can decrease a bit of that interest. So credit cards are absolutely your friend. I highly recommend you get credit cards. Well, I only have one credit card, so I can't speak on having, you know, multiple, but credit cards are your friend. When the management companies, when they look you up, a part of the things that they look up is your credit, to make sure that you're able to pay your bills, that your bills are paid on time, and your bills are paid in full. So that builds in your credit history. So that's why I recommend getting a credit card. I know there's a lot of like controversy with credit cards and if you should have them or not, but personally, I haven't had any bad experiences just yet. Personally, I have a Discover card, so that was my first one, and that's the only one I've had since then. I don't really feel the need to have multiple, but I would recommend getting one and just, you know, building a little bit of credit for yourself. Okay, so the next is another really important tip. I think all of these are important, so y'all gonna hear me say that every time, but I would highly recommend you make a budget. So for me, before I moved into my current place, I literally was looking at what I made a month and what I would be able to swing, because of course I was living at home with my mom and I wasn't paying rent and paying, you know, electric and, you know, all the bills and stuff. So you really need to sit down and be realistic with yourself and what you will be able to afford and what you won't be. So for me, I get paid bi-weekly, so I was adding up those paychecks together and then seeing what I would be able to swing with rent, and then sort of, you know, 1-bedroom apartment average utilities, like, or electricity. That's another thing you absolutely want to look for when you're looking for a place. I know on like apartments.com and other like renter sites, they usually let you know what utilities you would have to pay or what utilities are included. So for in the place that I'm currently in, I only have to pay electric. So I pay my rent and electric, and I had to just make sure that I was able to factor that in when I was doing my budget, so that I knew that I would still have the money to pay my rent and my electricity, of course, and then also have the money to buy groceries, or you know, just have the money to live. So gas, cell phone bill, car payments, all of those things. You really just have to be a bit strategic, especially if you're living by yourself. I know a lot of people have roommates and stuff, but me personally, I wanted to do it by myself, and it's hard because everything is so freaking expensive right now. We know that rent prices are through the roof, and honestly, it's cheaper to buy a house, but you know. So I wanted to do it by myself, and I have been just fine. But I really accredit a lot of that to my budget that I was making, so I wasn't, you know, just paying bills and not able to live as well. On the opposite end of that, I also feel like it's really important to take leaps of faith. So me personally, I am a very big believer in God, and I think that if it's being placed on your heart to move, it'll happen. Try not to worry about it. Just kind of give it to God or whoever you worship, so that it's able to be handled on your behalf. I think sometimes it's easy for us to worry about absolutely everything, down to the most minor, minuscule. But for me, it definitely was a leap of faith, because you're never going to be 100% sure that you can do something. But once I did it, I was fine. And here I am a year and a half later, and I feel so much wiser and like more mature. I feel like once you're actually in it, you're able to budget your money better, and you know, okay, so I need to have this, you know, bill paid by here, this paid by then. I personally have a planner, so that all of my bills are marked in my planner when they're due and all of that. And I also, again, have a note on my phone with all of my bills, how much they cost monthly, so that I'm able to have a visual representation always with me, because you always have your phone, so that you know what bills will need to come out and all of those things, so that you know that you have the money for your personal expenses. Okay, so another really random but I think super helpful thing to do is make another list. Obviously, I'm a list maker, so the list that I recommend that you make is making a list of things that you want versus things that you need. So for me personally, the place that I'm in is a 1-bedroom apartment. One of the things that I really manifested is that I wanted somewhere that's bright. I don't have any lights on, y'all. These are just my windows in my living room. So that was something that was more on a need for me. I thrive off of natural sunlight. I can't be trapped in somebody's basement with no sunlight. That was a necessity for me. Something that I wanted was a washer and dryer in unit. I don't have that in this place. And I feel like that's something that now that I'm thinking about moving to a new place, not thinking about, baby, we're on the move, y'all. If you haven't been checking out my vlogs, go check out my vlogs. I have been put through hell in this apartment, which we're going to get to that. But something that I'm putting on my want list for my next place is that I wanted to have a washer and dryer. It's just so much easier to have a washer and dryer in unit. But that's what I'm getting at here is that you need to have a needs versus want list. So if it's just you and you need two bedrooms, make sure you put that down. If you're moving out of state and you know that people are going to come and visit you and you want them to be able to have somewhere to stay, make sure you put that 2-bedroom down as a need. That's a necessity for you. If it's not, make sure you just put, if you just need a studio, just put a studio. Make sure that your needs and wants are definitely accounted for, because it seems like such a minor thing and you think that you're going to remember all of these things when you go tour places. But in reality, they slip your mind. Like, they show you the nice apartments, the ones that are nice and newly renovated, and it looks like, oh, I would love to live here. And then you go to move in, and it is not that nice, newly renovated apartment. So make sure that you go ahead and put that on your needs and your wants list, so that you have everything that you need as a visual representation. Obviously, I'm a visual learner. Okay, so if you take absolutely nothing from this video, you guys, please always check the reviews. Now, that is a new lesson for me. Like I said, I moved into this place about a year and a half ago, and I just checked the reviews on like the apartments.com, I think is where I found this place, and the reviews on there were decent. I want to say it was like maybe 4 stars. But then once I Googled the address of my apartment and I look on Google reviews, those reviews are a lot different. Okay, those reviews are absolutely a lot different. So when you are looking for places, please be sure to double check multiple places. That was a mistake that I made, and I would hate for anybody else to make that mistake. So I of course look at the apartment reviews on wherever you found this place. I looked at Google was a big thing, and then I also looked at the renter company. You can look at the Better Business Bureau. That was a really important one. And again, I saw reviews there that probably would have deterred me from moving into this place initially, and best believe I will be leaving reviews there so that other people can find my experience in the current place that I have. Checking the reviews is very important. Me personally, I look at reviews from the last couple years. It really doesn't make much of a difference if somebody left a review in 2016 and now it's 2023, because I do believe that people can change and hopefully these companies are changing. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of landlords can be a little bit grimy and don't do things the right way. So you want to absolutely make sure that you are covering your own behind and looking at reviews from other people's experiences, because you could very quickly move in there and turn into the same exact horror story. So please, 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 please double check those reviews and look everywhere you can find reviews to make sure that this place is valid. So another obvious one is to definitely check the area that you're moving into. Obviously you want to check like surroundings and everything to make sure your safety is fine. But me personally, I wish I would have looked up like demographics. So race, there's not a whole lot of brown folks over here, which has led to some really uncomfortable interactions and situations for me, as well as the age demographic in your building. So for me, my building, I'm not 100% sure when it was built, but it's very clear that they are renovating certain places, and it is either very, very young people, first time renters like me, or people who have been here for years. So there's a woman who lives down the hall who's been here for 40 years. And it's very clear that it's a very wide gap of people who live here. Now, I haven't had any problems with the actual people who live here. I have problems with management. But that's not the case for everywhere. So you could be moving somewhere that's right next to a college campus, and you constantly hear, music playing from upstairs or party thumping, and there's a million people coming in and out. That's absolutely something that you're going to want to look, and be able to look into, because that can eventually become a problem. So I highly recommend that you do your research on who lives in this building, what's the age demographic, the surrounding areas, to make sure there's no like riffraff, you're not dealing with a bunch of craziness. Definitely look at those things, because if you're going to be paying an arm and leg for rent like most of these places are charging, at the bare minimum you should feel safe in your surroundings. Okay, y'all, and I know that this video was pretty short and sweet. I don't want to keep you guys here too long, but I have one remaining tip for you guys, and it is actually more like a budgeting type tip. So for me, like I told you guys, I get paid bi-weekly. So for me, I like to split my bills right down the middle. So what I mean by that is some bills, how bills, you just have them throughout the month. You know what I mean? I like to make sure that I'm able to split those bills down the middle, so it's not like all of my bills are coming out with that first check, and then I'm broke for that 2 weeks, and then I have a ton of money the second paycheck of the month. So what I do is I split those bills. So there's some bills that come up on the first check and some bills that come up on the second check, so that you still again have those living expenses, or have that money to live with, whether it is getting money for gas, whether it's getting groceries, whether it's just personal things, because who wants to work just to pay bills? So that's a big thing for me. So, and on most of your bills, you're able to change the date. So for my phone bill, I changed the date to go on like my second pay period, so that I knew that I would be able to save the money that I would pay, or my cell phone bill would just transition to that second pay period, so that I could use that money for my cell phone bill for whatever I need at that time. That's a really, really big tool for me. And I know it's something that sounds simple, and it's like, girl, why would you do that anyway? But personally, it's a big deal. And I've learned that a lot of people will like pay all their bills in the beginning of the month, so that they can have the freedom that they want at the end of the month. And if that works for you, by all means. But for me personally, I like to do stuff all the time, so why not? But yeah, you guys, that's the end of this video. So I hope that these tips and tricks and all of that has really helped you. Let me know if you have any other ones down below, because like I said, I gotta get up out of here. So I hope that you guys enjoy. Let me know down below some of your experiences with renting, where you're renting from, and all of those things. I hope that you're able to find a place that is perfectly suited for you, and that you don't have any problems. And I hope for all of us that these rent prices go down, because I'm tired of it. Okay, so I love you guys so much, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye.